We are back, and I tell you what, being able to have that for an intro in the heart of Texas is just outstanding. And we do football better than anybody else. And, you know, I get arguments from Florida and California. Come bring it. We'll take them from the East and the West. And right now, we're going to talk UTSA Roadrunner football as 27-7 victors, again, as we mentioned, in Harris County against the University of Houston. And we welcome in one of the Associate Athletic Directors, Brad Parrott. Brad, good morning and welcome back to
Good morning. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Well, thanks for doing such a tremendous job representing the 210, as we say, and the University of Texas San Antonio Roadrunners and the all-white unis. A tremendous effort down against the University of Houston Cougars.
I don't know how it showed up on television, but my wife was sitting out in the stands, and she swore that the face mask had lights in them. They were reflecting the sun. So, yeah, Mike Villa did a great job of coming up with a new uniform. And, you know, as the kids across the country, they love those uniforms, and they're a little bit different.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think Oregon has put us to the test with that. I tell you where it may have gone wrong. Is Maryland. Oh, my goodness. And I don't know if you had a chance to see them. And my dad is from Maryland, Brad. I think I would be a UTSA Roadrunner. And, yes, you're right. The uniform design was just as good as the effort on the field, where a very late touchdown, or this is a shutout for week one and game one for UTSA.
Yeah, our defense is very, very good. As you know, my son coaches at San Antonio Christian, and Coach Neil Nethery, our defensive coordinator, he has two sons who play for Brandon there at San Antonio Christian, and got a chance last night at the Holy Cross game to sit with Coach and just go through that. And I know he's very, very happy, as is Coach Coker and the rest of the team. But they just really shut down a really good offensive team. O'Corin is a great quarterback, had a great year last year at Houston, and they really did a good job of putting the game away. And then in the second half, I think our offense really came on, and I think we had the ball for 22 minutes in the second half. So they did a tremendous job of controlling the ball, primarily on the ground, in the second half.
We're talking with Brad Parrott, part of the athletic director staff at the University of Texas San Antonio. The Roadrunners victorious 27-7 against the University of Houston. Brad, you know, when this program was being built, and, you know, you and I had a lot of discussion about that, you went out and got Coach Larry Coker. I've met him before. Interestingly, he was the offensive coordinator of the Oklahoma Sooners when I was a grad assistant at Nebraska. And then he comes back with, I think, probably the best University of Miami football team. And, you know, I love me some Michael Irvin. And in 2001, beat Nebraska out in the Rose Bowl for the national championship with, I think, the best University of Miami football team with Jeremy Shockey, McGahee, Frank Gore, Andre Johnson, Shockey, the like. And then to have
Sean Taylor.
I mean, yeah, it was just unreal. Ed Reed to come here in San Antonio and lead this upstart University of Texas San Antonio Roadrunner team. And, again, that upstart's going to get ready to be removed handily because of the effort and what y'all have done at the athletic level for this program.
Yeah, that, you know, Friday night was a tremendous win to go into Houston before a packed house on the night that they were opening their new stadium, and then to just, you know, dominate them the way we did. And Coach Coker, you know, what a tremendous coach, but even more so than being a tremendous coach, he's just a tremendous human being. Our kids just react to his style of coaching so well. And then for us, you know, my job is to sell tickets and generate revenue. I have the same relationship with Lynn Hickey that I have with my wife. I make the money, she spends it, and there's never enough. But that for us, with him and trying to market the program, he has never said no. He has never had a down moment whenever he's out with the public. He's always, you know, up. He's just a tremendous face for our new program.
Absolutely. And, before you know it, the team's going to be back in the Alamo Dome for what is being called Orange Out the Alamo Dome. You're playing the Pac-12's University of Arizona, not exactly a stranger to San Antonio as they've played in the Valero Alamo Bowl.
Well, yeah, Coach Nether was a little bit nervous having seen that Arizona put up 770 yards on UNLV. I guess that was also Friday night. But it should be a tremendous opportunity for the entire city. The city of San Antonio is offering free parking downtown for anybody coming down to the game. We expect over 40,000 to be in the Alamo Dome Thursday night on national television. I believe it's on Fox Sports 1 that we're on national television again. This will be our second week in a row that we'll be on national television during the weeknight. So that's just a tremendous opportunity for our program. And it goes beyond that. 2 days after we play, the NCAA Final Four Selection Committee is going to be in town to look at the Alamo Dome and look at the plans that the local organizing committee has put together and to determine whether we'll be getting a future Final Four. So I think it's very, very important for not only us as a university, but also as a community that we put our best foot forward and put as many people as possible in the Alamo Dome for a national television audience.
Absolutely. We're talking with Brad Parrott, one of the athletic directors over at the University of Texas San Antonio. The Roadrunners victorious 27-7. Brad, let me ask you this. I'm looking at your schedule, and after Arizona comes Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma State, that'll be fun for Coach Coker and Lynn and I. We get to go home to Oklahoma and do something that probably none of us ever thought would happen, to get to go back to Oklahoma State as part of UTSA and play in what could be another nationally televised game. And it just really means a lot to me to get to go home and do that.
Absolutely. James, go ahead.
Mr. Parrott, James Pledger. Looking at the team and the way things are working out for you, and you talked about possibly another national televised game coming up against Oklahoma State, what does it mean for the program to get so many opportunities early in the season to get onto that national stage and make UTSA known to the more mass public?
We have always tried to look around the country and determine, take the best that we can from different programs, kind of a best practices approach. And you look at what Boise State did early on to get on national television, the blue turf, which everybody knew about, the blue turf. And so I think that Boise State is a good example for what national television exposure can do. They're in a very remote part of the country, and they have put themselves on the map as a result of national television. That's why it's so important for schools our size, aspiring to work their way up, to have that national television exposure, and that's really what concerns me the most about this whole autonomy thing with the Big Five and pressure for just those 65 teams to play each other. I think that's, Steve, you're an attorney. You need to tell me, is that anti-competitive? Is that collusion? Is that monopolistic? Is that antitrust?
No,
I
we
really
don't.
I really believe that it is.
No, Brad. We don't. Not. We wouldn't have any of that in athletics, would we?
I really believe that that's their long-term goal, is to have 65 teams playing on Saturday and 32 on Sunday. And for schools like UTSA and Boise State, and, in states like Idaho, New Mexico, that currently don't have schools in that 65 teams, that's very important for Congress and other people to look at and just see what the long-term effects of this is going to be and how it just really it endangers trade and free competition.
Well, it's interesting because most people hear the Power Five explanation, Valero Alamo Bowl now bringing getting the first pick after the playoffs in the Pac-12, first pick after the playoffs in the Big 12. So you are in the shadow of almost your dichotomy there, because the tremendous job that is being done in the Alamo Dome for the Alamo Bowl is somewhat, as you mentioned, not in lockstep with some of the things that a program like UTSA is building.
Well, the thing that concerns me, I just finished reading the book, The Bully Pulpit, about Roosevelt and the muckrakers and all the antitrust stuff that took place in the 1890s, early 1900s with Standard Oil and that type of thing. And at that time, Standard Oil was using their contracts with the railroads to really drive competition out of the petroleum marketplace, and they wound up, breaking up Standard Oil. But what's happening with big-time college football is that they're using television to drive the competition out of the marketplace. Right now, Kansas State, a middle-of-the-road, Big 12 team, is getting like $26 million a year in television money, and the Conference USA, we're getting $2 million. Well, that's fine, but don't take that $2 million away from us by refusing to play us and refusing to play us on television. Give us that chance to get that national exposure and to build our program and to do what a Boise State and some of these others have done. Don't just make it to where there's 65 teams and the rest of you have to go compete at FCS level.
No, absolutely. And again, you're always going to focus on what things mean to you immediately as opposed to bigger picture. You may act local, think global, and that's what the Power 5 guys are going to do. And you're right, there needs to be still some type of blend for college athletics, because what I say is some of the greatest athletes that you can think of, Jerry Rice, Walter Payton, Randy Moss, a lot of these guys went to 1AA or FCS schools, and they actually wind up becoming as big or bigger than some of the guys that go to the Texases or the Alabamas or the USCs around the country. So you don't want to stymie that growth, because there are a lot of good and excellent professionals.
You're talking about a very few individuals who have the opportunity to go play in the NFL. What I'm talking about is a community of 1.7, 1.8 million people who want the opportunity to have a team that they can support, that they can go out and hope that school has a chance to compete for a national championship. And that's what we're talking about here in San Antonio. Is we have a great stadium, we have a great university, we have a great opportunity, we have a great coach right now who can take us to that level. And let me ask I was standing in the hall. Sports Illustrated and USA Today covered our game Friday night, and there will be big articles in USA Today and Sports Illustrated this week about us. That's tremendous exposure for San Antonio. And I asked the guy standing there in the hall, I said, tell me this. I said, tomorrow night, if Oklahoma State beats Florida State, which they almost did, and then we run the table and beat Oklahoma State, do we have a chance to be in that Final Four? And he laughed, and he goes, under that situation, you just might. So it's not as ridiculous as you might think, and people are going to think that I'm on something by saying that. But
even if you are, Brad, it still makes sense.
But we need to have that opportunity, and to have that opportunity taken away from us by monopolistic practices and antitrust practices is just ridiculous for Congress and for others to sit by and allow that to happen.
Well, I'll say this, and, maybe you need to come in. Maybe we need to have a broader discussion about things. Sometimes –
Maybe you need to get back in the law business and represent us here. I know I've seen you work those halls up in Austin. I know how you can work those halls.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not sure if I want Congress in my business. I think we may need to, in athletics – let them worry about the guy that takes his shirt off and rides his horse and fishes, and let them worry about national security. Let's worry about national collegiate athletics ourselves. I think there's some very interesting folks in this arena that can figure this out and govern it. Because you're right, UTSA, a top 10 city in the country, a tremendous program with the backing of the community, a national championship coach, and all the resources that are coming available to it as a university and a football program has to be considered in some space. And
when the NCAA abdicates its responsibilities to regulate its industry, and portions of its industry, the Big Five, threaten to pull away from the organization that's been set up to regulate that industry, then it may be time for Congress to step in and to do some things, because if not, the businesses are left to run amok. And if Standard Oil would have been left to run amok, there would still just be one oil. There would be one oil company in this country.
No, it's a very good point. Don't get me wrong. I just always say to folks, from that legal standpoint, let's take a step back. Let's be careful what we ask for, because again, you don't want to see the lawyers and the members of Congress, which a lot of them are lawyers, unless you truly can't figure it out yourself.
Well, when you and I both were walking those halls up in Austin lobbying, I was always a big advocate. You know, it's 140 days every 2 years. I was a big advocate of 2 years every 140 years.
Exactly. Exactly. No, do not take away the effectiveness of governance. However, there is a lot of it in NCAA athletics, and it may take the fact that there's a Brad Parrott and a Lynn Hickey stepping up, and a Coach Larry Coker that also has a very unique perspective that can chime that same message. James, go ahead.
You talk about the growth of the city, the fourth, one of the biggest cities, top 10, and you talk about the assets in place here with a national championship coach and Larry Coker. This is basically a startup program. If they go to this Power 5 conference, doesn't that keep a city like yourself that has the potential to grow and keep a university that can grow its program to that type of level from being able to do such a thing?
You know, Lynn has always said that we need to become the Texas Tech of San Antonio. And had we said, we want to be A&M, we want to be Texas, a $135 million budget, and we have a $25 million budget, people would have just looked at her like, you are crazy. But to say that we want to be Texas Tech or Kansas State, that's certainly possible. The biggest difference between their budgets and our budgets are two things. One is the conference money. They're getting about $26 million, and we're getting $2 million. And then the other thing is their fundraising. We're going to top the $4 million mark in fundraising this year, and Kansas State is about $14 million. So you take that difference and you add that $35 million in difference there to our budget, and we're right there. We're right there with them. So if we have the opportunity to grow and convince the city and our supporters and our alumni, we have a very, very young alumni base that over time, as they get older, they're going to acquire wealth, and they're going to want to give back to their university when they have the resources to do that. Then we have a chance 10, 15 years down the road to be that Boise State, to possibly enter into one of those Big Five conferences. But in the process, don't cut our legs out from underneath us and not give us that chance.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I think the talent of the Roadrunners will pull the team into a conference, because with all the realignments and things like that, you can find yourself, potentially in a Big 12 that has 10 teams.
Well, that's really, I think, a possibility because of all the assets that we do have here, and what the framework that Coach Coker has established. But the other thing that he has just done so well, Stephen, you know this from having coached at Nebraska and that type of thing, is, we don't have any 5-star, 4-star recruits.
Not yet.
Not yet. 3-star recruits. But what they've done with those kids, we have the original 18 that were the kids who practiced for an entire year before we ever even started the program. Well, there will never be a bunch of kids that come through this program or any other program that have received as much coaching as those original 18. And they were made a promise whenever they signed with us is, hey, not only are you going to have a chance to play, you got to play. We don't have any sophomores, juniors, and seniors. You have got to come in here and play. So for that reason, those 37 seniors and 18 original seniors that we have on the team, they've played this is their fourth year to be in the starting lineup. So it's just been a tremendous opportunity, and those kids have learned, matured, and they're just a great team. I know there were some coaches from the Valley. We were at Smithson Valley. We take our our Saturday spring scrimmages, we take them on the road and get out into the community. We've been to Harlandale. We've been to Smithson Valley. We've been to Judson. We've been all over doing that. And 3 coaches from the Valley came up to me. He goes, there's one thing about your kids that I see. They like being here. They really like being here. And you've been around a lot of places where the kids may have been successful, but they were just disgruntled. They didn't really like being there. I covered some of those teams when I was a sports writer. And that's the thing that Lynn has done such a tremendous job of establishing an atmosphere and placing a responsibility on our kids, not just to take, but to give back beyond their teammates and into the community. And I think that has really been a part of establishing an atmosphere among our student athletes to where they really love to be on our campus and love to participate in the program.
I tell you, a tremendous effort all around, top to bottom, and yes, culminating with the student athletes. And Brad, can't thank you enough for giving us some insight on the program and this opening win here in the 2014 season. James, you got one more thing before we?
I just wanted to give Brad the chance to remind everybody about the Orange Out coming up on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday night, 7 o'clock in the Alamo Dome. The city has opened all the parking meters downtown, and it's city-owned lots, so it's free parking. You can get into the Alamo Dome for our $15 ticket, so don't be afraid that it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. It won't. It's great family entertainment. Bring the entire family. The local chambers of commerce will have about 12 local chambers of commerce who are out selling tickets and sponsoring a challenge to see who can sell the most tickets. So it's just be a great community event, and we hope everybody will take the opportunity to be there. And let's paint that Fox Sports 1 television network orange Thursday night.
We'll certainly appreciate it. Again, 27-7 victors over the University of Houston. And, Brad, thank you for your time. Took a little bit longer in the segment. I mean, it's hometown, it's home cooking, and not a bad effort, but an outstanding effort, a great effort here in the 2014 opening game on the road against the University of Houston. So, Brad Parrott, thank you. Thank Lynn, thank Coach Coker, and all the rest of the staff and the players with the tremendous effort. Yes, I do like what I saw in the uniforms. And we'll be talking offline. I need a little UTSA gear, so,
All right.
we, James and I as well. So, thanks again. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your Labor Day holiday. That'll make it one shorter day to game day on Thursday. And you know what? You just may see Steve Foster in the stands against the U of A.
We'll look forward to seeing both of you there.
Appreciate it, Brad. Thank you so much for your time.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
All right. Great segment there. And
just a reminder, the home opener, Thursday, September the 4th at the Alamo Dome. Wear orange, game time 7 o'clock, but the parking lot, which he told you, free parking, opens up at 1 for tailgate.
Oh, tailgate. Absolutely.
So wear orange that place out, and support the UTSA Roadrunners after a huge upset at TDEC.
No, man, huge win. No upset. No, huge win.
No. You look at it, you talk about Houston, a team that is known offensively for the points that they score.
Right.
And opening up a brand new stadium in TDECU there.
Well, it just shows you leadership. It shows you leadership with what Coach Coker has on a national championship pedigree level. You get your guys to buy into that, James. It doesn't matter what you call the team. That team is going to surprise some folks, but I don't want to say upset. I've seen the program with one eye open,
Of course.
looking up and down 35, and I think that
But when you're a double-digit dog by the line makers, that's an upset victory. That it really is, and despite being a hometown,
you missed that, and I know we'll get into it more because there's a lot going on. You could say the same thing for A&M, and
that's an upset,
and some other things. These teams are solid teams with solid coaches, and I think Sumlin may have been on that Oklahoma staff at some point. I don't know if they were crossed together with Coach Coker. These guys know what they're doing. And when you know what you're doing and you get the full opportunity to put your stamp on a team, it's not a surprise. I understand people will say upset. I think that the Roadrunners, tremendous job out the gate. I mean, it may be surprising of what they did on defense. To say it was an upset to go on the road, you might be able to reach out and touch that. I wouldn't say that. I think this team is going to do better than what most think. We're going to take a sidebar. We got a short segment. We're going to talk youth sports at the AAU Focus on Youth Sports. Our Lieutenant Governor Rod Chico Tanner, everybody enjoying the holiday, but we're working here. James, Joseph, and myself. So stay with us. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend as well, right here on Laying Down the Law.